Welcome to Fintech Uncut, the quiz show with candid commentary on the biggest fintech and financial services news of the week that was. Disclaimer: this show is created purely for entertainment purposes and contains segments of sarcasm, satire, parody, and humor. Even if you don't think any of it is funny, the creators do not accept any responsibility or liability for the accuracy of any content shared and reminded you to always fact-check everything yourself. And now, it's over to your quiz master.
Welcome everyone! Welcome to the fourth episode of Fintech Uncut, the quiz show with candid commentary on the week's biggest fintech and financial services stories with the wise guy, the other guy, Judge Mary, and myself as the host. As for the show, it's built around 6 questions dealing on 3 themes. The biggest news, the most controversial news, and the WTF round. Now, before we start, I'd like to thank all our fans for the many messages we got over the last few weeks. And that is not a joke. Now that is over, we can stop being serious. Let's start with the first question, my friends. Who is next in line in desperate need of money as a result of the collapse of FTX?
It's got to be the famous fintech guru, Chris Skinner. Actually, given his latest Dinner with Skinner initiative, it probably isn't him because that looks like it's going well.
I'm always in need, but I think it's kind of interesting that we should have had the WTFX round, which would fit this week. And I tried to find out what FTX stands for. I thought it was FinTech Explosion or something like that, but it turns out it's a futures exchange. So now I call it NFTX, as in no futures exchange.
But look, people short of money at the moment, the Winklevoss twins have got to be right up there. Their company, Gemini Trust Co., was quite heavily leveraged. So maybe it's the Winklevi. Isn't that what you call a pair of Winklevosses?
Winklevosses.
Oh no, cutting you off there. What are your real answers?
Well, I mean, you've kind of got this house of cards dropping in the crypto world. We had Terra Luna, followed by Celsius, followed by FTX. And now it looks like one of the cryptocurrency lending platforms, Genesis, I think, is in trouble. Do you want to add, Rick?
Another one with a G, Rick?
Yeah, absolutely right. And I bet that Judge Mary can agree with that. After all, she's a judge.
I can't agree with that. It was reported that Genesis revealed it had loaned FTX 175 million. So with insufficient collateral. So big problem, spike in withdrawals and so on. So Chris, you get the points here. I'm going to give you, 5 points. Andrew, we're going to give you 3. Because I like that background.
I plugged Dinner with Skinner. I should get bonus points for that.
Those are negative points.
I just think it's worth underlining that basically all of these collapses are related to each other. It's like that they're dropping like pins, and it's not destroying Bitcoin and Ethereum, which are underscore foundations. It's more the companies trading on those foundations. Anyway, that's getting too serious.
Yeah, and to put the disparate into context, I thought it was around 1 billion they were looking for right now to avoid any liquidity problems.
The 175 million, I think, was what they had with zero security lent to FTX, and that was the issue. But they're looking at $1 billion of exposures on their lending, which it just shows some of the naivety of some of these companies. It's a little bit like we can do banking without regulations, and then suddenly realize why regulations exist.
Yeah.
And of course, all of this is resulting in a lot of regulation noise at the moment, with the FCA also saying that they've got to start regulating, and they've got to, or sorry, not the FCA, the Bank of England calling for regulation of crypto.
All right, that's enough being serious. Question number 2. Stephanie Ferris, FIS almost new CEO, hit the news this week. What did she announce?
Is it that they've acquired a company called Buzz so that they become FizzBuzz?
FizzBuzz.
To get you a new
You guys
buzzer.
know the game FizzBuzz.
To get you a new buzzer, Chris.
It's a very good drinking game, but I'm sure that FIS doesn't want to become just a drinking game.
I think FIS, being a very innovative company and always following the trends, following on from our stories that we had a couple of weeks ago about banks becoming pizza places and coffee houses and all the rest, I think that they must have just announced their new coffee as a service offering, just to help banks transition really fast into the new coffee as a service business.
That sounds like a good idea, but can I just pay for a half espresso?
You just want a little one.
He said that so sincerely.
You kind of do wonder with all these acronyms what's going on, because you've got FTX, as we just discussed, and then you mentioned FCA, and now we're on to FIS. Maybe we should just call them WTFFFFFF.
Friends.
Yeah, I thought that they might have announced that the new CEO is sending all of the staff on one of those ice retreats from the Wim Hof thing that we heard about in Luxembourg. That
ice baiting.
That's the kind of a thing that that would have made big news. FIS doing that with all of its staff, no?
Makes me want to join them, but no. What are your real answers?
So sadly, I think that it is to do with the staff and FIS, but they're cutting their workforce by thousands, joining a lot of the other tech companies, financial services and things like that are all cutting back heavily. I mean, we are seeing tens of thousands running into the hundreds of thousands of job losses right just before Christmas. Really good time of the year for it to be happening. But I think everybody's being hit by the realization of the economy has slowed right down globally. It's something along there. What was the full story there, Rick?
It's absolutely that. And I'm a bit surprised because as a new CEO, of course, on the one hand, you want to make sure that you can make a clear message to improve the profits of the company. But if it's really about getting news, why didn't they just buy FTX? But okay, that's another story, of course. Indeed, they are anticipating on quite a few, like thousands of job losses of staff and contractors as part of a 500 million cost savings plan. And to put that into context, at the end of 2021, the company counted the workforce and of staffers and contractors of 65,000 employees. That's astonishing. An astonishing number, I think, as they always talk about fintechs being lean and mean, and FIS probably calls themselves a fintech as well, right?
Well, there's 2 or 3 things in there. One is, are they really classified as a fintech? Because I would not class them that way. And that's because they started out of Fidelity as a business many years ago. And the second thing is that they've had a very acquisitive growth strategy under the previous CEO, acquiring WorldPay, Clear2Pay, and other payments companies. And that's left them a little bit fat and bloated. So it's not surprising that they want to take out some of the overhead of a organization that hasn't integrated itself yet amongst all these subsidiaries.
Mary, do you have any more input on this? After all, it's an American company.
I have like a question about it. Like, I wonder what the impact will be on like all the banks. There's so many banks using the FIS. There's got to be holes that happen from this, I suspect. But anyone think that?
I think that a lot of the bean counters don't think of the impact. They think first of the balance sheet and the income statement and the value for the shares, and they don't look down at the unintended consequences of such deep cuts. I mean, that's quite a significant chunk of the workforce. As you say, there's got to be gaps in service that will now appear.
It's all the unintended consequence of being on the stock market. Short-term shareholder value.
It's all about their shareholder value.
Round 2, the controversial round. And
this is where we can fizz and buzz.
We forgot points for 2 questions already.
No, we got points on the first one.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, right.
I got 5. I'm just telling you, I got 5.
Yeah.
And
Chris
Andrew got
5.
3.
And now, though, Andrew came in hot with the answer first. So now this round, Andrew has 6. Chris has 4.
Mary, can we give Andrew half a point extra for his background, maybe?
Yes.
What about my background?
Yeah, but
It doesn't say fuck you. F you. All right. Next question in the controversial round. Fill in the missing name in the following quote. In some companies, the founder is a bad person, toxic. That's not XXX. He's just a machine. He has no EQ, and that leads to a high friction culture. Who are we talking about?
It must be Elon Musk, because I've been told it smells terrible.
Actually, I was going to say Elon Musk as well, because he cancelled. How many thousand staff's badges did he cancel?
Oh.
And he had people tweeting from the meeting rooms saying, "We're locked in and we can't leave, and we can't even go to the toilet because our badges don't work and won't let us out the meeting room." What kind of a person does that?
Andrew, I think Chris spoke about Elon Musk, not Elon Musk.
Exactly. In fact, I was wondering whether it's Vladimir Putin, because you Putin left foot in, you Putin left foot out, in, out, and shake it all about.
Why is there not a dance going along with that song, Chris?
It's getting worse. I'm getting to dad jokes now.
Yeah. Hokey cokey. Oh my goodness. Now I reckon I've seen the movie. It's got to be old Zuck. Surely, I've seen the Facebook movie, and it's got to be Zuckerberg that's got a no EQ that leads to a high friction culture.
Well, there's plenty of bad CEOs to go around, but what's your real answer?
This one, I'm guessing it's probably Nicholas Stronsky at Revolut. And the reason being is that the media regularly write about the company as a toxic culture that's generated by his leadership. And it's interesting because in the commentary that I've seen about his personalities, because he's ferociously focused on developing the company and achieving growth goals, and pushes that throughout the whole culture of the organization, which a lot of people can't handle.
Their culture has been described as brutally honest. In a number of write-ups and blogs and reviews, and the FCA actually even carried out a review of their company culture in advance of awarding them their banking license, which still hasn't been awarded, and there's question marks over why they still haven't been awarded their banking license. But certainly company culture was one of the things that was under scrutiny at the time.
I always remember a comment, not about Revolut, but it's just a general comment on business, which is the best decision-making committee is comprised of 3 people, 2 of whom are absent. And Stronsky seems to have that built into his DNA.
I mean, he is outstripping a lot of the other fintechs by a long way in terms of growth and and impact of what he's been doing. So yeah, he might what's the right way? He might have no EQ, but he's getting stuff done,
Getting stuff done on the short term, but you can't build an empire with a one-man army.
I guess Attila the Hun would disagree with you.
Mary, judgment calls.
Judgment calls. I feel a tie coming on with a 5 and a 5.
All right.
Neck and neck.
Nick on Nick. Next question. A recent prediction in Financial Times saw another potential Kodak scenario victim. Who was it?
I reckon it was the travel industry, because we have to include the word metaverse somewhere along this show, and I couldn't think of anywhere else to throw in the metaverse. And Everybody's going to be going on virtual holidays, aren't they? You know, we're just going to live in Web3 and the metaverse and the virtual world, and we're going to have virtual cocktails. Don't know how those are going to work, but at least you won't get a hangover. But
You can ask Chris, he's already in the metaverse.
yeah, it looks like it from his background.
Yeah, I'm spaced out, man. You know, but I was trying to work out what a Kodak scenario is. Is that when you send a dick pic? I mean, I haven't sent one. Well, not
No,
recently.
that's when you send a dick pic by mail.
Sorry, Mary. Apologies to Mary on this one.
old school one. By the way, Kodak is still going. You know, it's just released its latest results, and it's had 6 quarters of continuous quarterly growth. Kodak is still actually going. A lot of people thought that it went bankrupt when it filed for bankruptcy back in 2012. But no, they're still going strong.
Like Nokia, by the way.
Yeah.
Maybe a Kodak scenario is when you take a picture of Meghan Markle without permission.
Ooh.
I'm still trying to work out, what is this Kodak scenario? Oh, it's when a company falls off a cliff.
When people don't wake up to the realization that the industry's changing and they don't change with it, and they're stuck in their old ways, and
is
in
it
that
a Kodak moment or a Nokia moment?
Well,
and Nokia's still going too.
Exactly, and I believe banks genuinely might face a Kodak moment. Banks themselves, because if you see, Ant Financial and Grab got banking licenses in Singapore over the last year or so. They weren't banks, and people treat them as banks. They've got a banking license now. Does that make them a bank? Or you know, but not a bank in the traditional sense that people would have thought banks are. So maybe one day in the future, banks will have a Kodak moment and realize people don't bank with them anymore because their banking is done elsewhere.
But you'll know from your old days when you had a proper job that you know, Visa and MasterCard, everyone thinks will be replaced by the likes of Ant and others. They're still going strong. And in fact, when you look at what's happening, most fintech and the disruption it was supposed to bring in hasn't changed and replaced banks or those companies. They're just adding to the layers on top of those companies. Is that getting close to the answer, I guess?
Not sure if I can say, but I thought it was a bit cheap of explaining it. But they were talking about the international card schemes, not because of PSD2, not because of instant payments, request to pay, European Payment Initiative, or CBDC, but the reasons being Twitter, because Elon Musk wants to make a super app, crypto, because I don't know why, Alipay, because they have a superior product in the East, Apple, but they're working with a bank and with international card schemes, and then JP Morgan was an additional potential reason why they might face a Kodak scenario.
But I'd actually seen that story, and I had tweeted back a comment on it saying, I don't believe card schemes are going to face a Kodak moment anytime soon. Probably it will happen at some point, but not as soon as the crypto bros think that it will, but certainly sooner than the card networks think that it will. And the reason for that is people that haven't ever been in card networks don't understand the complexity of 2 simple things: chargebacks and dispute management. And every single person who's tried to disrupt the big card networks has come unstuck on those 2 things. So even if we take, you know, bank account to account and all of that, if you haven't got chargebacks and dispute management baked into there and working as slick as anything, your customers are only ever going to use it once, ever. And
also, I think people forget that when we talk about PayPal, Stripe, Adyen, you know, most of the card based fintech companies, they are card based. They're based on those companies, Visa and MasterCard.
Yeah, so Kodak moment ain't going to happen too soon to the cards.
All right, Mary, it seems like it's going to get a longer show than expected if we don't get these guys faster. What's the score?
All right. 6-6. Andrew came in strong with those ending comments. Chris, of course, got the right answer immediately and said something wildly inappropriate. So neck and neck still.
Wildly inappropriate. What? Just because of a dick pic?
Just because the dick pic.
So long as those don't come out on the video, we're okay.
Do you want me to hold it up? I've
Drivers.
got my phone.
All
no,
right,
let's not go
stop,
there.
stop.
Let's not go there.
Next round. The WTF, my favorite round, and we
I was
come
gonna
up
say the
now
screen
with
isn't
my...
big enough anyway.
Oh, you wish.
Oh, Chris. Mary, help me out here. Shut
Yes.
them down. Shut them down.
Okay.
All right. Next round. And my favorite question of this episode. After Nirvana money last week, we saw another organization canceling itself. Who was it?
Was it the UK government?
Oh,
It's like they seem to be replacing themselves every week or two and cancelling themselves out. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty reasonable answer. Or it could have been in the midterms, the US government, except they didn't really cancel themselves out. They kind of ended up 50-50, didn't they?
there. I think it was the International Society of Karens, with apologies to all of my friends called Karen that on Karens, but Karens are cancel culture, and maybe the Karens cancelled themselves.
What's Karens?
Oh, Chris, you're not woke? You don't know about Karens?
Karen.
Come on, Karen. I'm South African. We pronounce it Karen, not Karen.
Your accent has lost me. You know, I speak proper Queen's English, or now it's called King's English.
I
Thank
don't.
you.
I'm just
noticed.
I'm from the colonies.
Exactly. That's why you've all been assimilated, except for Brussels. We didn't want Brussels.
Okay, I'll use syllables that you can understand. It must have been ye that cancelled himself. Kanye.
Maybe we should just all become more woke. You know, I'm actually thinking that maybe Gen Z or Gen Z, if you prefer, I don't mind, should just cancel themselves out for cancelling everything else out.
All right. I'm not Gen Z, but I'm cutting you off. Like, what's your real answer?
It's a fintech show, guys, not a political show. As a tip.
Pro tip.
Oh well, this was a political fintech.
That's true.
Yeah.
So you know the answer.
The story's about Glorify, the anti-woke banking startup. They actually even, describe themselves as anti-woke fintech. Quite some astonishing things that they were promising. Some things actually that might have appealed to my fellow countrymen back in South Africa when I used to live there. They were offering insurance premium discounts to homeowners that own their own guns so that they could kill intruders, and then you get an insurance premium discount. And other very things like that most people wouldn't find socially acceptable. But yeah.
In Europe. Because in the States, it's quite different, isn't it, Mary?
Well, it should, sort of, it's we have a big divide here, but like, yeah, so sort of. I mean, I'm in California, so the answer is yes. But
you wouldn't have signed up for Glorify then?
Hell no. Oh my God, I can't even believe it formed.
I mean, it's interesting in this space because during the dot-com boom and bust of the late 90s, I remember a lot of niche and boutique banking ideas taking off, and many of them failing because they couldn't find their niche and boutique audience. And I think
critical
that's
mass
actually where Glorify failed. It's not that the idea isn't one that could be appropriate; it's one that they didn't find their audience. Yeah,
and it was a quick death too.
Yeah, I was trying to remember how long had it been since the launch and the closure. It was a very short period, about
just a few
month.
months.
Yeah, I think it was 3 months.
Yeah, it's very strange to launch a company and then close it in 3 months. So obviously they didn't have the right thinking.
Seems to be a common thread throughout our shows.
Yeah, people opening and raising money and then closing back down again. Where did the money go?
In my pocket.
Well, actually, if you ask the Bahamas where the money from FTX went, they'll point to a good couple of mansions around the place that they can't figure out where the money came from, but they were bought during. Anyway, that's going off topic.
Well, also, not lingering the whole time on FTX, but it was run by Sam Bankman-Fried, as some pronounce it, but I pronounce it Sam Bankman-Fried. And I would never trust anybody with a name that's going to fry a bankman.
All right. Points. Andrew, you get 7 for this round. Chris, you get 6.
Ooh.
Oh, ouch.
And Mary, did the
Yes.
insult of Andrew impact the decision making?
Point
The
Yes.
fact that he asked you whether you would sign up?
That wasn't an insult. It's what we call a leading
You should dock a
question.
point for that.
All right,
Hey.
my friends, before we get overtime, last question. Who received a statue this week by its fans for all the lovely work done?
Boris Johnson?
Yeah, has he got fans?
Yeah, next week in Singapore at the blockchain conference.
That's right. Look, I think it's World Cup fever at the moment. So was it Cristiano Ronaldo that got a statue in his honor, or aren't his fans too happy with him at the moment with his?
Actually, that was one of my favourite stories this week, which is a football team in Britain in the 12th division, Crew, did a whip around and found that they could make him their highest paid player at £35 a week. Apparently he's not responded yet, but it would have been big news.
It even hit the news in Belgium.
Oh man, there was it wasn't this week though. There was a story about a statue from a fan, Sam Smith. Got a statue as a gift from a very big fan of his, Ed Sheeran, who gifted him a 6-foot penis as a statue as a gift. Is the story not about that? Seeing that
All
we're
right,
on
this
about
is called the Dick episode officially. And we are moving along to hopefully what is a real answer. Hopefully that is not.
I'm not sharing any videos about this on social media.
Is this another story because we're sponsored by Elon Musk?
And actually the statue is made by us. No, that's not true.
It could be true.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it's the weirdest thing I've heard for a long time, which is that there's a Elon goat coin, which I guess is greatest to all time and not bad. And they generated enough money, over $500,000, to create a statue of Elon Musk riding a Shiba Inu dog on a missile, which they're gifting to him. And I'm like, that's completely surreal.
How much do you think that cost to make?
$500,000.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently $500,000.
Yeah.
Oh,
I can't remember the spec of it, but it's pretty big. I know it's so would sit in his garden with pride of place as you come up the driveway, so you can go, oh, is this Elon's house?
But I was quite intrigued when I read the story to see that it was designed by Danny Wang. See that this is the Dick episode.
I must admit, I used to work for a company called Wang Computers, and if you messed up, you got to wank alone or to wank career.
Oh my god, this is going to have to go out with an R rating, this one.
All right. I'm giving you final votes. And just so you know, right now, Chris is 26, Andrew is 27.5. So this is like
Decision time.
This is high suspense. Okay, Andrew, you get 4 points. Chris, you get 3.
Yes!
Is that because I mentioned Wank
That and some other things.
Okay.
Oh,
We have a winner, Andrew.
yeah.
Congratulations, my friend.
The
And that's the
Wango of the
status
week.
quo, so that means that we need to continue this show even after 4 episodes.
It's 2 for 2, 2, 2,
Yep.
2, 2.
Anyway, we are reaching the end of our 4th episode. thank you all for joining us, for listening, for watching us. Thank you also for all your wisdom, Wise and Other Guy and Judge Mary. I cannot wait for more international fintech news coming up soon. Don't forget to subscribe to whatever channel you're on. This was the 4th episode of Fintech Uncut. We hope to entertain you, your colleagues, your friends, your connections and followers, your neighbors, your cats and dogs, and more very soon again. That was it for us. Bye-bye.